Hello everybody, Bets Golden here. Today I am going to be making an ATC card to trade, and I'm hosting this swap, and the only requirement was that the theme is playing card. So whether people wanted to make an ATC card about their favorite card game, or something like that, or if they wanted to use this as the base, as I'm going to do, totally up to them. So just a theme, but completely up to the artist's discretion. So whenever I think of playing cards, I always think of Alice in Wonderland. I don't know why. Maybe because of the Queen of Hearts, and that's probably what it is. But I want to do an Alice in Wonderland themed playing card. And these are the images that I'm going to use. I need to make 5 cards. And I got these images from Calico Collage. I believe these are from the real Alice. So we're going to make one today together from start to finish. And I'll show you how I'm going to do this. I'm actually doing a similar technique to my steampunk technique, in which you've seen before. If you haven't, scroll down. It's a really cool technique, and I use black gesso, but this time I'm going to use white gesso, and you'll see what I'm going to do. And let's get started. So the first thing I need to do is I need to completely gesso my card, and I may have to go over it twice. I want everything to be white. And the reason why I do it white for this technique, and I start by gessoing the card, unlike when I gesso everything black in the other technique, is because red, I'm using a card that has red in it, is really hard to cover up. And I really need a good base here because of the type of material this is that I'm gessoing on the surface. Okay, so once that's nice and gessoed, you can go ahead and set that aside to dry. I'm going to kind of clean up my workspace a little bit right here. So I'm going to set this aside, and I have prepped a few things as we go along here. The magic of television or videos. So once it dries, it's going to look like this. And then from here, we are going to lay down our thickers. And I'm going to use thickers on this. I really love to use up my extra thickers on something like this. The cool thing is, now this time all of these thickers are going to be from the same pack. But if you have a pack of thickers that you have a bunch of, like, J's on and X's on, and you're just not using it, or the numbers, go ahead, take a piece of white cardstock or a piece of cardstock and just gesso the heck out of it, and just place those thickers all over that cardstock. And just place them in random orders, and then it doesn't even have to be the same color, because you're going to see what I'm going to do on this. They can be different colors, different shapes. It makes it actually really unique. And at the end, I'm going to show you something I have done with that. And if you just do that as you're trying to finish off packs, you can burn through some of your stash, use up those pieces you're never going to use up, and you're going to get a really cool surface to work on. So you can do it on a card base, you can do it on a scrapbook paper for a layout. There's so many different ways that you can use up your leftover thickers. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, let you in on a little secret. I'm not a fan of thickers anymore. I wish I could buy the individual letters instead of having to buy the entire pack. To me, it's just a waste of money, and I would much rather buy a pack of E's and my A's and O's and then the common letters. So I'm trying to use up all my thickers, and I'm never going to buy them again. I'm going to go with stamps or something different. But that's just my personal opinion. All right, so once you get to this point, this really is kind of cool. And for this project, you could leave it like this. But I really am digging on this blue that is in this, as well as the blue that's in her dress. So I actually want to make these blue. So from here, what you're going to do, so we have everything on here, is we are going to white gesso it again. So we're going to get these all covered up. Now, with the black foam, it tends to be really super absorbent. So we may have to gesso it a few times. I don't care if it gets a little bit goopy. That's okay with me. But I just want to cover it up with white. And I'm going to push my brush on in there to get those edges covered up. Just want to get that covered up really nice. The hardest part about this process really is the drying time. Nobody likes to wait for paint to dry, but sometimes you have to. So as you can see, I'm just pouncing this on, getting it on my little spaces, my nooks and crannies. I want to make sure that I do a really good job at this. And since I'm right here, I might as well do this one too. I had one set up all ready to go. But since I'm here, I'll just do them both. And this also allows for some time for this to set up, and I can go over and do another layer of it. But you see how I'm just taking my brush and I'm just really pouncing it on there, because I want to get into all of those nooks and crannies. And these are foam. This is the Elm alphabet thicker set, and so these are foam, and the foam ones really absorb the paint, the gesso, excuse me. And so I just want to make sure that I get it really good. That's looking pretty good. That's looking pretty good. And now this is a trick. The bigger this will seal itself if I run the extra up the top. So I run the extra down here on the lip. There's a lip that I use, and I just try to clean my brush as much as I can with that. And then I just dump my brush into some water. I seal this up. Now, if you want to keep your big bottles like this with the stuff fresh, with your paint fresh and not dried out, because the more you use, the drier it gets, because more air gets in the jar. Just take a squirt bottle and mist it down with some water, and that will help keep it nice and moist and good. All right, so I'm going to set these aside. We're going to go on to the next step, because these have to dry. We're going to add some color onto our card, and this is the dry brush technique. I am using the Sparks Magical Pond by Prima for this. I dip my brush in, and I'm going to wipe it off. I'm going to get as much of that paint off as possible. Then I'm just going to lightly go over the whole thing until I get the coverage of my liking. And if I want more, I can pick up more right there. right, so that one is pretty much done. We're going to set that to dry. And then last but not least, we are going to add our digital art, our image, which I happen to have digital art from Calico Collage. So we're going to add that next. Now this piece, I accidentally splattered some paint up there. So there's more paint in that corner, but it's not horrible. It's still cute. And I'm going to do the Drink Me, and I might just put it right there to kind of camouflage that. I'm just going to use some Brutus Monroe glue on the back of this image and pop it on. And all my images are going to be different, as you noted, I'm sure. All right, so this is my little ATC card that I made for my swap, and I did that really cool type technique, the Finbar technique. Let me show you a layout that I did in which I actually used a bunch of leftovers from my thickers, a whole bunch of different packs in a bunch of different colors. It took me about 3 months to get the paper done, but I wasn't in a hurry for it because it was just my scrap paper and I was working in the process. But once it got full, I could move on. So this is a complete layout that I actually did over the weekend, did a crop with this paper. So I actually did the same type technique, and let me back out a little bit. I did the same type technique with the white gesso, excuse me, but when it dried, I sprayed it with different kinds of mists. So you can mist it, you can paint it, you can do a couple different things to this technique that will make it interesting and just give you a really cool texture. So please make sure that you leave any comments in the comments below, and if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do so. Until next time, happy crafting.